So up next we have Margie Kay. How many of you guys know who Margie is? About half of the room. So the dates are to be determined. So about half of you guys are going to be in for a treat today. I've been fortunate to witness Margie speak a few times. Whenever I first started going through my awakening, I discovered that St. Louis had a MUFON edition. They have MUFON meetings, and that's where I originally seen Margie speak. And you know, MUFON, you're thinking like nuts and bolts kind of UFO stuff, and then she comes and she's talking about crypt. I mean, I don't even know, Thor, Sasquatch, fairies, you know, any of the elementals, any of the cryptids, but talking about the beings that are on the craft and not just the craft, and it was just blowing my mind. And I'm not doing her any justice, but she's what I was most impressed by was that she's a remote viewer, which the way she describes it, I think it's more of a gift. I mean, remote viewing is like triangulating something, but she has the ability to basically project her consciousness, and she's used it to find how many missing people? Over 60 missing people at this point? 66 missing people. And I'm sure she'll tell you about some of that. I hope she does anyway, because it's really interesting. But it's super impressive, and she has an amazing gift, and she's developed some other gifts along the way, and she's going to tell you all about it. So welcome to the stage, Margie. Yeah. Do you? Hey. Yeah. You have a. One here if you need it to walk around.
Hi, everybody. You guys ready to rock and roll here? Okay, we're going to have some fun, and then after I'm done talking, we're going to do some more fun stuff. So, all right. How many people here know who Val Thor is? All right, great. How many people have had direct contact with Val Thor? Okay, not today. Okay, well, this is my story about Val Thor. So, basically, I've been in contact with him my entire life. I'm going to give you a little background info about me. My mother and father were both very intuitive. They had high IQs, as did their parents. We all knew I had unique abilities by the time I was 3, before I was 3 years old. But I was never discouraged from doing psychic work or questioning things or asking, what is that glow around trees, or what are these little tiny lights doing? They didn't know, but they were open-minded enough to say, we're not going to stop this. So I think with a lot of children, they are blocked by their authority figures, their parents, their teachers, etc. And they'll just say, no, you didn't see that ghost, the head of that ghost at the foot of your bed like I did when I was little, okay? They just say, oh, what did that look like? What do you think it was? So I was lucky in that respect, so it kind of kept my mind open. And so I was clairaudient, clairsentient, and clairvoyant at a very young age. And then later I got more abilities and had some help with that. So at age 9 months, this is my first memory of an abduction. And what happened was I was lying in my bed and this blue-white light came in the room, and I became very afraid of it. And I was calling to my parents, but they were not coming into the room. And I just knew that there was something going on out there that was negative. There was no light, like lightning. There was no thunder. It wasn't a storm, because I first thought it was a storm. But here's this blue-white light. But the thing is, I remembered it. I knew I'd seen it before. So I know this kind of started happening before that. Then, in the middle of the night, I wake up, and I'm in my bed, and my whole bed is covered in blood. My parents finally came in, turned on the light, bed is covered in blood. I've got a terrible nosebleed, and there was something up in my nose. I knew there was something there that shouldn't be there. Now, how many people here have had that type of experience, where you have an implant or you have a nosebleed that you can't explain? Really? Yeah, it's pretty common. But when I remote viewed this later, actually, I was regressed by someone. I wanted to know what happened during that incident, and what I saw was there was a tall ET standing in my parents' room, and he did something to keep them asleep, so they would not hear me screaming. He went there first. And then 3 ETs came into my bedroom, a young one, and middle-aged, and an older one. And I could tell by the wrinkles, but what they look like. And they teleported me through the walls. And at that moment, I heard that the only way that they can walk through walls is by using that blue-white light, because it changes the molecular structure of the walls and the windows. So, that was a good piece of information to have. That explains a lot for a lot of people, why they see that light when something is coming in and out. So, moving on, right now I'm a licensed private investigator in Missouri. I'm a CSIA certified chimney sweep. I bet you weren't expecting that. My husband and I have owned a chimney business for 40 years. So if you have any questions about chimneys after the conference, I'll be out here. I'm a certified sound healer. I'm Assistant State Director for Missouri MUFON, so I've done about 1,700 investigations for MUFON and on my own. I'm the director of the Oz Interdimensional Communication Institute. Obviously, you guys know what that means. And I also own a fire investigation company. Onyx Media Publishing, I'm a writer. I've written 15 books. I also publish other people's books. I've got 3 more in the works, and one of them is Thor, the extraterrestrial on Earth. And that's coming out this year. The KUNX Digital Broadcasting Network, which is 25 shows right now, plus 8 on YouTube. And they're all, paranormal and alternative and consciousness-based. And I'm a professional musician. I play the bass. Been doing that since I was 10. And the music is a big part of this, so. But we're gonna be kind of jumping around here a little bit. I want to tell you about some things that are important. In 1968, my father came home from a meeting with the elders at the RLDS church. And they were talking about something very strange, and he explained this to us. And it was, he overheard this conversation. They wanted to figure out how to build a building with a hidden antenna in it. It had to be a really, really big antenna, very long. But they wanted to hide it in a structure so that nobody would know what it was. The reason for the antenna was in order to contact extraterrestrials. So my father comes home with this story, and none of us believed it. And he didn't even believe it himself. We thought that was nuts. But in 1986, I had been living in Seattle for a while, and then my fiance said, "You got to find us a house." So I look up in the paper, and the first house I looked at ends up being the one that we buy, and I went to go see it. And as I drove by Lexington Street, I saw the structure, and I said, "Oh my God, Dad was right." Okay, and you'll know what I mean by that in a minute. In 2001, I had a visit from my grandfather, who died in 1973. Now, I'm a medium, and I have done hundreds of readings for people and listened to people who have passed on and given information. But I was never able to contact my own grandfather. Okay, I desperately wanted to. But one night at about 3 o'clock in the morning, I know, the witching hour, he said, I heard his voice in his Brooklyn Italian accent, but next to the door to my bedroom, which is a portal where things come in and out. He says, "Margie, get up." I'm like, I sat up in bed. I did not hear that. I did not hear his voice. I hadn't heard it for so long. And I start to lie back down. He said, "Margie, get up now." Whoa. So I got up, and I said, "What?" And he said, "Go downstairs to your computer and sit down." So I did. And he said, "Just listen and type." So I closed my eyes, and I did automatic writing for the first time, doing typing. And I just listened to him, 3 pages of information. And then he told me, and it was about world events and some personal things for our family. And he told me that he sits on a council of 13, and that's where he had been all this time. He was very busy, and that they oversaw a group of people. He didn't explain what that was. And he said I would be visited by all the others on the council. And I knew visually, I'm seeing, as he's talking to me, that there are some ETs sitting on that council as well. And not long after that, I had told my 2 daughters, did not tell the grandchildren. They were too young to understand something like that. My youngest daughter and her 3 children, had been watching this light that was Venus, but then there was something in front of it that would hide in front of it and move and then go back, or just drop down to the ground or something like that. And they had been watching that. They're also contactees. And then she told, they all got ready for bed. She tells the youngest one to get in his bed. She tells him a story, and then he always turns over to the wall and fell asleep. He was 2.5. And so she goes back to the window to look out, and he turns right back around, and he speaks in a grown man's voice, not a little boy's voice. And he said, "Mom, that star that you're looking for, or the planet you were looking for, is not there anymore. It's over there." And he can't see outside the window. And she's like, "Oh my God, he's right." And then he says, "Nana is going to be visited by 12 aliens." She says, "What did you say?" And he's repeated that. Well, he only knew how to count to 10 at that point. He didn't even know how to count to 12 or what a dozen meant. And so she called me up. She said, "Mom, listen to this." I'm like, well, okay. Somebody went into his body and relayed that message to her. So since then, I've been in contact with several, not all 12, but some of them. I came into contact with Valiant Thor in 1985 in direct contact under very strange circumstances. But I realized later that he's been in my life since childhood, because there's a little voice that I started hearing when I was young. It was a man's very kind voice, but he would suggest things. He'd say, "Here, look at this caterpillar over here. Why don't you go this way to school instead of the other way?" Things like that. And I just thought everybody had that voice. So he gave me suggestions and guidance. But at age 15, I was in this emotional teenage time, and my mother and I had had a big argument, and I was very upset about it. I went upstairs in my room, I'm crying, I'm all upset, and I'm just thinking, oh, it's the end of the world, whatever it was, probably something stupid. And the shades were drawn in my room, and this blue-white light comes, blinding right through those shades. And it lights up the room, and then I see a music stand that's not there in the middle of the room. The whole room changes to all the different furniture, and in the mirror that I had at my dressing table, I'm seeing a woman in a white hat, and a high collar, look like around 1900 style clothing, and a woman in black with a knife stabbing her. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to see something like this. What is going on here? And then that disappeared, and the music stand just got up, and it came toward me and towards me and towards me. And then when I closed my eyes because I thought it was going to hit me, and then I opened my eyes, it was gone. Well, I realized later that was a symbol for music coming to me, okay? But what I had seen in the mirror, that house was built in 1855, and it was owned by a doctor at one time. There was an elevator in it. It was a huge house, and he had turned it into a hospital. It was a Civil War hospital first, and then later on, around late 1800s, early 1900s, he owned it. And that was the most haunted house I've ever been in my life. There were multiple spirits throughout that entire house. But this was another awakening moment. And I think the blue-white light was Thor. Okay, now, in 1975, I was 18 years old. Yeah. And this is what I call the music experience. We were I'm playing bass. I'm at the edge of, if you guys know what the orchestra does, you know how they're laid out. The bass player's on the edge corner. And I was first chair bass. And so I could see the entire orchestra and most of the audience. And there were 3 orchestras from 3 different high schools and 3 choirs. So there was a lot going on there. We were doing Handel's Messiah. Now, if anybody here is a musician, you know that that's not an easy piece, and you have to look at the music while you're doing it, while you're playing, right? So we're in the middle, about 3/4 of the way through that piece. I felt this ball of energy, of warmth out in front of me. Now, I didn't understand how I could feel that far away, but I did. It was at least 6 feet away. And it came towards me, went through my bass, and I'm playing and watching the music, but I'm also seeing this ball coming towards me, and it went into my solar plexus, and then all of a sudden, I'm standing next to my body. I'm also playing the bass, and I'm also standing next to my body, fully conscious, and I'm watching the audience and the orchestra, and what I saw with these streams of color coming out from the instruments going out to the audience. And in each stream of color, it was vibrating, okay? So I could see the different levels of vibration for the different toned instruments, and the larger, deeper tone instruments had big, thick, wide streams of color, and the violins and the piccolos had real tiny streams of color. And they were going out to the audience, so I look out and I see it dancing around. So I could tell if there were 2 people that were related, that music would dance around between them. I could tell who the partners were out there and the parents. And I'm just trying to absorb this into what the heck is going on, and I hear Thor's voice, and he says, "You're watching healing take place." And so, yeah, music and color have been a huge part of my life, and if I didn't have that awareness, everything would be different. I wouldn't be talking about sound and color and using it for healing purposes or understand how that worked if I hadn't have seen this. And then my body went back into my body right towards the end of the piece. But what I hadn't realized is that I had not been looking at the music the entire time. I was staring straight at the instructor. The minute the piece was over, the instructor runs to me and says, "How did you do that?" I said, "I don't know." And he says, and he just walks off. In the meantime, my mother has sabotaged me because I wanted to go to Juilliard School of Music, where my uncles had been. She thought I wasn't mature enough to go to New York by myself. So she brought Walter Halen, the director of the music department at CMSU, to hear me play that day. And so he comes walking over and says, "Young lady, would you like a scholarship to go to college?" Oh boy, okay, 50 miles from home, not far enough, right? That's what happened. All right, now my first direct contact with Val Thor was in 1985. I was living in Seattle, Washington with my brother and my 2 daughters from my first marriage. And, I was married to that guy for 4 years and he needed to go, so that's what I did. I got away. I visited my regular massage therapist in the winter of '85. I had to go on a regular basis. I'd been in a car wreck and hurt my back. And I had, at this particular time, the only time, I brought my brother and my 2 kids because we were going to go to the Seattle Fish Market right after. And while we're leaving, getting our coats on, Suddenly my therapist turns to me, and he speaks in a voice that isn't his, and he has different mannerisms, and he says, "Would you like to try a light experiment?" And my spidey sense went up, and I said, "Yeah, I would like to try it." I knew something was going to happen. So he had me look at a green light and then turn that off, had me look at a red light, went back and forth for a couple of minutes. And my brother and my 2 daughters are standing there, so, of course they're doing it too. And then the therapist says, "Now what do you see?" And I look up, and I see a skeleton standing there, and only a skeleton standing there where he was. And I'm just have the thought, what the heck is going on, when this other voice comes from the side on the wall, and I look over. Well, I recognize the voice. That's me when I was 6. So I recognized the voice, so I wasn't afraid of it. And this head appeared on the wall. And he had an M-shaped helmet on, and he said, "I am Thor, and now you have X-ray vision." I didn't know what that meant. And he said, "I'll be in contact with you in the future, and we'll be working together." This was like an order. It wasn't a request, okay? You guys understand what I mean, right? You have a mission. So this is kind of what I saw. I had someone draw this because I can't draw anything. And so that was the head on the wall, and he said that. And then I turned to everybody and I said, "Did you guys see that?" And they're like, "See what?" And the therapist went back to normal as if not even 1 second had gone by. He had no clue what had just happened, and that he, Thor used him to speak through and make this all happen. So, although I was very psychic at the time and I could see energy fields, I had no idea what X-ray vision was, and then I just accidentally discovered it while I was reading somebody. So I'm reading someone, and all of a sudden, instead of just seeing like little blobs of energy inside the body, if there's an infection, it'd be like red. If there's cancer, it'll be black. If it's gray, it's iffy. But what I was seeing was like I was actually in the body. And it's as if the body's opened up and I'm looking in there. So all of a sudden, I could see very clearly, and I could see if an organ looked diseased, if there was something off, if something was in the wrong place. I've seen people who have appendixes on the wrong side of their body. I've seen people who have only half of a heart that's functioning, and the odds of that are just nil to no. And they're like, "Yes, you're right. It doesn't function." So, and that has only gotten better over the years as I've gotten older. So, God, if I live to be 100, it'll be great. So, right? So this is what I see. I think that the light experiment activated this ability. There was something, I found out later that I've been involved with a mantis being, and he took me to his crystal planet, and they implanted seeds in my light bodies. Okay, so when you're not using this body anymore, you leave it, but all of your light bodies go with you. And I saw these implants in each one, and something will activate them at a certain time. So they can follow you through multiple lifetimes as this is being done. So now I could do medical diagnosis. I've helped several chiropractors and one doctor to pinpoint troublesome patients where they can't find something. They'll give me a call and say, where is this issue? And I'll point to it, let them know. Now, I always have to give the disclaimer, but this is for entertainment purposes because I'm not a licensed health professional. Okay? Take it or leave it. So then I discovered that I could see at a cellular level as well. So I can see cells, I can see white blood cells, bacteria, viruses. Yeah, I know the question's coming. We'll talk about that off record, okay? And I can see inside vehicles, in machineries, and in buildings. And no, I do not remote view secret locations. And the reason I don't is I tried it once, and then I found out once I was in there that they have psychic trackers who will track you if you're in there, and if they capture you, if they get close enough, they can shoot a tracking device into your light body, whatever you're using, if you're traveling astrally, if you're using your etheric body, whatever, they can then track you. So I got out before that happened, and I am not going back. So don't ask me to remote view Area 51 or whatever. But machinery vehicles, it comes in very handy. We have a fleet of vehicles with our chimney business, and every once in a while, they break down or something doesn't work and nobody can figure it out. They call me, and it used to be that I would have to go to the vehicle to douse it with my fingers to find a problem, but now I don't need to do that. I just need to hear where it is, and I'll locate where the problem is. I might not know what I'm looking at. I'm not a mechanic. I don't know what I'm looking at. But if it's in a specific location, I'll let them know where that is, and it's 100% accurate every time. One time I found 6 things wrong with things, and it was, one of the things was fuses out. Very simple. And then also when my husband is in the field, he's building fireplaces, and if he has to drill something, this has happened a few times where he doesn't want to hit a gas line, obviously, and if it's on a slab, there's no way to go underneath and see where that gas line is. So he calls me on the phone. He says, okay, I have my drill down. So he says, where the drill is, where do I need to move it to avoid the gas line? And I'll say, yeah, move it an inch or 2 this way or whatever, and it'll be correct. So I see the gas line underneath and the drill at the same time. A couple of days after seeing Thor for the first time, my brother asked me to do a reading for him, and I was doing that, had my eyes closed. I usually close my eyes because I see better that way. And the same voice said, open your eyes, and was very insistent. So I did, and here is this head on the wall again, only it was very large. It was like 2 feet tall this time. And he said he would show me his craft the next night at a UFO meeting in Seattle. Obviously, he knew we were going to a UFO meeting. So we went, and I'm sitting on the couch. There's maybe 14 people there, and there's a big picture window, and here comes this craft down. It doesn't land, but it's floating on the yard across the street, takes up that whole yard and the street. And it's huge. I mean, it's not huge, but it's big. And there were lights around it, and I'm like, wow, look at that. And everybody looks up. Nobody sees it but me. Oh, my gosh. Another lady there was psychic. She goes, I feel a presence. I just can't see it. But she knew it was there. It was just for me to see. My brother didn't see it either. And my brother's psychic. In August of '86, I took my kids and brother out to the country to watch the Perseid meteor shower, and we got more than we bargained for. And I think this was Thor as well. I think he was showing us that they were there. And what happened was these bright lights went overhead right directly 90 degrees above us, came in and stopped. And then another one came in and stopped. And then another one, and they all joined together. And then the last one came, and then they all shot off. I mean, the second it hit, they shot off all together as one thing. And we're like, okay, time to go. So we packed up, and I really think that was him just giving me confirmation that they're out there. Now, this won't change. Okay. So between '85 and the year 2000, he continued to be in contact with me, usually while I was in a meditative state or concentrating on something. He encouraged me to continue practicing my psychic abilities and study science, astronomy, physics, color, music, meditation, consciousness, and energy. This was always done telepathically, my contact with him. I did not see him in person during that time period. So in 1993, a client called me. She was an attorney, and she had been seeing me for some time. She said her 14-year-old niece was missing, and they were desperate to find her. And I said, okay, how long has she been missing? Well, by that time, it was about 7 p.m. She didn't come home from school on the bus at about 3 p.m. And they had searched the neighborhood, the police were involved, and couldn't find her. So I said, okay, how am I going to find this girl? And all of a sudden, this line comes out of my solar plexus, and I've got this gal on the phone, and I'm watching this line come out. So I thought, well, I'm going to follow that. So I just sent my consciousness to follow this line. And all of a sudden, I'm standing on a street corner, and I look up, and I see 2 street names. And this is as if I am really in that spot, okay? Like I'm looking around, everything's normal. It's not just shapes and stuff. I'm really there. I look up and I say, do these street names mean anything to you? She goes, yeah, that's her bus stop. Okay, so now the line goes across the street and I follow it, goes by the first house, goes to the second house. The second house lights up with golden light around it. I'm saying, bingo, we got something here. I look at the house number. I ask her if she knows about that house number. She goes, yes. We were there earlier with the police. And we knocked on the door because the woman who lived there was in her 30s, and she had made friends with this 14-year-old girl, and everybody thought that was strange. Okay? It is strange, isn't it? And they talked to her at the door, and then they left. I said, you need to go back to that house, but hang on a minute. And all of a sudden, the line now goes up in the air. So I'm following it up in the air. I go over the house, and in the back is a shed. And I look down through the top of the roof of the shed, and I see a girl lying on the ground. She has her hands and feet tied. She has duct tape over her mouth, and she's asleep as if she's been knocked out. But she's still alive. I come back out, and I thought, well, I'm going to take a look in the house. So I go down to the roof of the house. I'm looking down the ceiling, and I see a woman with long, blonde, stringy hair sitting there on the couch with a beer on the table, another man in a chair, and another man in another chair, and they're all rough-looking. They got drug paraphernalia out. They've got beer out, and they're talking about how much money they're going to make selling this girl in the morning. So I backed out of there, and I told my client, you need to get over there right now. She said, I'm going. So she hangs up the phone. Later that evening, she calls me back. She said she called the detective that was working the case and told him she was going back there. Didn't tell him why. And he said, I don't want you to do that. It's dangerous. And she said, I don't care. I'm going anyway. And he said, well, I'm going to go with you, even though I don't think it's necessary. So they go, and the policeman says, and I guess she probably prodded him and said, look in the shed. And he said, well, could we take a look in your shed and back? So they said, okay, what are they going to do? And they found her, and she was alive. But she wasn't going to be there the next day. So they arrested the people. Those 3 people went to prison, and they found out that it was part of a big kidnapping ring for young women. Anyway, that case prompted me to realize that I could be actually helping people with this, more than just doing readings, doing missing persons and doing homicide cases and things like that. So I did get heavily involved in it. I've worked for multiple agencies, some with 3 letters, some private investigators, and a few individuals. I prefer not to work with an individual in a case like this because of the emotion involved, and I just hate telling them details that I see. But I do have the ability to stay removed from it and not get into the emotion part so that I can see the details that the police need. And they have been able to solve multiple crimes. And I always tell them, do not ever use my name in any report, and don't tell anybody you know me, except if it's another detective and they need help with something. I don't want the bad guys to find me, because there are bad guys in police forces, okay, and they will report back to somebody else. And I would prefer to hang around for a while so I can do some more work. So I went back to school in 1993, and I discovered something very odd. All of a sudden, I was able to do algebra, physics, astronomy. They were now easy for me. But growing up, they were extremely difficult. It was like there was this veil that was blocking me from it and just keeping me using my right brain and not my left brain. But now, all of a sudden, the left brain kicks in, and I become balanced. I think that was Thor's doing. So in 2001, a visit from my grandfather opened new worlds and contact with other extraterrestrials and interdimensional beings. He sits on the Council of 13. I told you about that. He also introduced me to an ancient Native American, and this Native American will step in and I will channel him. Okay, if I ask him to come, he will do it in an ancient Native American language, which I had confirmed by 2 chiefs. So, yeah, I don't know how that works. And then he introduced me to White Cloud. He was a living chief in this area, and in Missouri and Illinois area, in Iowa. And he was also a shaman. And we spent several lifetimes together, which, believe it or not, the mantis being showed me. So it gets more and more complicated. And then also at that time, the number 1111 started showing up like crazy for me. How many people have had that? The 1111 deal. Okay. So you just today? Yeah, me too. I look at my phone. I wasn't looking at it. It says, yeah. 11 is a master number, 22, 33, yada, yada. It starts with 11. So had to pay attention to that. Thor told me that I would be writing a book about him, but I needed to first start Onyx Magazine, write several books, and have conferences and meet other people who had been in contact with him, which I'm sure he arranged. Now, this was a little bit crazy. In 2006, I owned a shop on the square in Independence, and one evening, we're getting ready to leave, and my oldest daughter, who was our bookkeeper, called me on the cell phone. She says, "Mom, get down Lexington Avenue right away. There's some really weird clouds. There's this like lightning, but there's no thunder and no rain. It's like an electrical storm, but the clouds are really, really low." So I got out real quick, and I raced down there. It was only a couple of blocks away. And came up to this building, and this is the one I mentioned earlier. I said, aha, they did it, right? You see that spiral? This is a concrete and metal building. And I used to have a show at KCXL Radio in Liberty, Missouri, and the owner, Pete Chartel, told me about a trick he did after I asked him how he got such a good signal coverage for over Kansas City with only a 5,000 watt tower when he was getting the same as the 10,000 watt towers. And he said, because I buried that antenna way down in the ground in a spiral. Okay? So what better way to hide something that's going way down in the ground underneath it too, I'm sure, but then all the way up to the top. So, you know, that could easily be 1,000 feet or more in that space. That's about a 300-foot tower there. So I'm driving past, and what I see is this weird lightning. There was an electrical storm with no thunder, and the clouds are very, very low. And so the clouds are like this, all the way down to about 20 feet off the ground. There's one cloud that comes down in this perfect shape, you know, not like a normal cloud. So I grabbed my phone, my cell phone, and I managed to get a couple of pictures, but not before it was already moving up. And then it moved up, and it then just covered the top part of the temple, but I could still see the flashing light at the top of the temple. And all of a sudden, here's this beam of light. It goes through the clouds at an angle like that. And I can't see what it goes to, but I can clearly see that light going to the top of the antenna. So I thought, wonder what that is. Thor's voice comes in, of course, and he says, "This is Commander Thor." Okay, That's the first I heard that. And we are communicating with people in the sub-basement of the building, and I'm visualizing, and I'm remote viewing, and I see a basement and a sub-basement. And he said, I'm the commander of a large fleet of ships that are placed around the planet. And then he showed me what this looked like. Just a picture of similar, that they are all around the planet, and no doubt cloaked. Okay, next slide. There we go. So now I knew that Thor was someone of high authority, but I still didn't know exactly who he was. Now in the sub-basement, I remote viewed this and I saw these old, like 1970s type of radio controls on the walls. You know, you've seen pictures of like the old NASA photos and stuff with all these dials and everything. That's what it looked like. And there was one man sitting in the center, and he was relaying the messages to everybody else. And I think that there was some type of a translation of some type. He also told me, I didn't put this down, but Thor told me that they use light to send messages instead of radio waves. And now we're doing that, right? Okay. So in this area around the structure, multiple people have reported seeing UFOs right over it and over the houses nearby in the neighborhoods. They've seen red balls of light. They've seen aliens looking inside their windows. They've seen UFO craft right outside their windows. And these creepy monkey-looking like creatures in the parking lot and on the sidewalks outside near the area. I never had a report of something like that except in this location. And then we have multiple buildings on the square are haunted, very haunted. Probably every one of them is. Now, why is that? I even wrote a book about it. It's called Haunted Independence. So, the area around the structure, my house is only 6 blocks from here. Can you imagine if that structure is creating a vortex and a portal because of its design? If you go to Google Earth and look at it from above, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's almost Fibonacci, but it's not quite. There's a portal at my house, which I found out about the first week we moved in. It's strengthened by this larger portal vortex, I believe. We've seen all kinds of things come in and out of that. Animals that you can't even imagine that don't exist, and they're always all black, and they're 3D. And I've also seen ETs walk in and out of that portal. So in 2012, Thor comes by again. I'm looking at these tiny white lights around a tree in my yard one evening, and I've always seen those things. I wondered what they were. Thor's voice says, "Why don't you ask them?" That had never occurred to me, that I could ask lights what they are, right? Yeah, well, I did. And they said, "We are the tree sprites. We help the tree grow. We tell it when to leaf out, where to make their branches. They construct the branches in the energy field of the tree first, and then the new branch coming up follows that track. And I've tested it out. I've looked at the trees in the winter. I had one particular tree in my backyard that I watched every winter, and then I would see them building the new branches and where they were going to be, and would draw that out, and then in the spring, boom, that's where they were. And it would grow at different rates. If it had a good year, it would be, 3 feet out. If it wasn't, it'd be a foot out. So, yeah, that's what they are. And then when the tree dies or gets cut down by the railroad company, like they did my favorite tree in the backyard, they go to another newer tree. That's their job. So in 2011, my friend and fellow psychic, Gail Larmer, and I worked at a psychic research group one evening. We were doing readings for a charity event, And on the way home, of course, we're both tired, ready to just go home and go to bed. It was 10:30 p.m. My phone rings in the car, and I answered the phone, and she didn't even say hello. She said, "Who the heck is Thor?" Hence the name of the, yeah. So I hadn't told anyone about this. I had not told my friends, my family, no one. And so I told her about what I had experienced, and she says, "Well, he wants you to contact him now." And I had been busy doing regular work and earning money, and I hadn't had time to meditate and really contact him telepathically, so I guess he got a little irritated with me and decided to go through Gail. Anybody else have that to happen through somebody else? So she did a little digging. She was a little more curious than I was. She found the book, Stranger at the Pentagon, by Dr. Frank Stranges, and bought it for me and sent it to me. And I was looking forward to reading it. I had put it on the table. I was going to start reading it the next night, and it was gone. Couldn't find it. Several months later, I'm standing in the kitchen talking to my husband when Thor says to me, "Read the book." I said, "I can find it," So he says, "Go in the living room, go underneath the one table. It's on top of your stack of books there." I said, "I've already looked there 10 times. He says, "It's there." So I go, "Of course it's there." I read the whole thing that night. Who's read that book, Stranger at the Pentagon? A few people? Yeah, okay. If you haven't, get online and look at Craig Campobasso's site. I'm going to tell you about him in just a minute. And he has them for, I don't know, maybe $20. If you go to Julie Strange's site, or Amazon, they're over $100 a piece. So in this book, Dr. Frank Stranges explains how he came into contact with Valiant Thor and had a long-standing relationship with him, as did others. Thor even saved Dr. Frank's life twice and took him on board his craft, Victor 1. So if you want to read more about Dr. Frank, he's written a number of books. These are available online: Flying Saucers Unlimited, Outwitting Tomorrow, My Friend from Beyond Earth, and Stranger at the Pentagon. He was the head of an international UFO Flying Saucer Investigation Association, and he was interested in this before he met Val Thor. The story of his meeting is amazing, but in the book he explains that Thor met with President Eisenhower and Vice President Richard Nixon. He actually landed at a place in a park. The police picked him up, took him to the Pentagon, and he offered some technology, he offered assistance, and he offered no more sickness for the people of Earth. And 3 years later, he stayed there the whole time. He was finally turned down because the president said it would ruin the economy. Right, think about our health industrial complex that we've got, right? It would ruin the economy because nobody can think about a natural way to cure anything. It's my understanding also that Eisenhower was against turning him down, but he was persuaded by others to turn it down. So according to Dr. Stranges, Thor is a created being. He has no fingerprints. He can appear and disappear at will, so them keeping them at the Pentagon was a joke because he would appear other places and just go back. His craft, Victor 1, is currently at Lake Mead. Some people think it's in the lake, but that lake dried up completely and, there's nothing there. I don't, because when I go to remote view, I'm on grass, and what I see is a big bubble that hides it, and I'll show you a picture of that in a minute. So, in 1957, there was a UFO meeting at Howard Menger's home in New Jersey, where Val Thor, Jill, and Dawn appeared. The photographer was August C. Roberts. He was an Army photographer, And he's the only one who had a camera at that event, and he thought that he was sneaking around getting pictures of everybody, and he did not believe for 1 second that there was an extraterrestrial there, but he was taking pictures of them. Now, Howard was a longtime contactee, and with other Venusians or related to him. So here in this picture, we have Thor in the center, he's looking over at a piece of paper. Next to him is his brother Don, and Jill was a crew member. I think that they chose to wear these 1950s attire that humans wear in order to fit in so as not to freak people out so much, because their normal attire is a one-piece suit, jumpsuit. And here's a little bit better look at them. Now, I don't believe for a minute that Thor didn't allow August Roberts to take pictures. He knew darn good and well he was taking pictures. Supposedly his IQ is over 2,000, and that's him. So during the saucer convention circuits in the 1950s and 60s, we had all these people. I'm going to talk a little bit about Frank Strange's Buck Nelson, Daniel Fry, and Howard Menger or Menger, however you pronounce it. All of them were in contact with Venusians, so I thought that was kind of interesting. The first known contact with humans, and there might have been one in the 40s, but I haven't confirmed it, was Daniel Fry on July 4th, 1950. Fry met with Val Thor and was taken on a ship on a trip to space in his 30-foot wide craft. Thor used the name Alan at the time, but later he said, no, my real name is Thor. So I wondered, all of these people are having contact with Venusians, and the Venusians are giving them the same messages. Now, what if all of them were Thor, and he just gave them different names? So Fry was told not to mention that encounter just yet. He worked on an army base, by the way. Several months later, Thor requested many textbooks about language and writing, and he studied the books, and Daniel Fry would go to the library, get a stack of books, and put them in this certain place, and in the morning they would be gone. And Thor would study them, and then he would give those back, and he would get some more. So he did this for about a month, and after he was done, Fry says, do you want more books? And he says, no, I've got it. So he said in his book that it would take a college student at least 2 years to study the number of books that he had given this guy, but he had learned it all in a month. Well, I kind of doubt if he needed to do that. Thor told Fry to share it was kind of a test for him to see if he would cooperate. So Thor told Fry to share his story at that point and to let the world know to stop using nuclear technology. That was the message. So also, there were other people who claimed to have been contacted by ETs, and many or most of them were from Venus. One was Buck Nelson from Mountain View, Missouri. How many people have heard of Buck Nelson here? We got a few, all right. So he was born in 1893, but we're not sure exactly when he passed because there's no grave and there's no official record, and there's just hearsay about when that happened. He was a policeman, a cowboy. He did other odd jobs around California to Texas, and then he finally ended up on this property in Missouri, 40 acres, in order to spend his retirement there on a ranch. And he was not well educated. This is one of the drawings that he did. Height 10 feet, width 50 feet. That's about the size that I saw in Seattle, about the same shape as the one I saw in Seattle. And here he is. Does this look like a deceptive man trying to make money off of faking meeting with Venusians? See, I used to think all this was baloney. I really did. I thought that these space conventions and these people wearing the tinfoil hats from the 50s and 60s were crackpots. I didn't really pay any attention to it until recently. And so here's some people at one of his conventions, which was really a camp out for a lot of people. They would just drive there, pitch their tents, bring their own lunch boxes. It was always free, and they would wait for the space people to show up. Sometimes they did, sometimes they didn't. And then people would talk about their own encounters. So Buck's story is very interesting. He was at home one evening. He had a radio. He did not have a TV. He did not receive the newspaper. He didn't go buy books. And he didn't know about anybody else's experiences or being contacted by spacemen. And he heard a weird noise outside. His horse started making noise. His dog started barking. And the radio was making weird sounds and just got real loud and staticky. So he's like, what the heck's going on? So he knew something was outside. He went outside. He sees a spacecraft next to a fence, and it was floating next to a fence. And he said he thought it was like a loudspeaker, but I'm thinking it was telepathic. They sent a message to him and said, "Are you friendly?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm friendly. Are you?" You know, like, what is this? And they said, "Well, we just want to be able to park our ship here once in a while, and get some water out of your stream. Will you do that and not bother us?" And he says, "Okay." You know, so they kept coming back for several months, and then finally at one point, 2 men get out of it, and they're wearing these one-piece suits, and he said he saw no clasps on them. He didn't know how they would get them on their bodies, nothing like that. And they became acquainted, and they would visit him once in a while, and then one day they said, "You want to take a ride?" He's like, "Yeah, I'll take a ride." So they made him take off his clothes that had metal on it, and they gave him something else. He couldn't take his dog, and he had to make sure that his chickens were fed and the horse had food and all this stuff before he leaves. So he gets on, he has nothing with him. He gets on the craft, he goes to the moon, the Mars, and Venus, and back in 3 days. But in between time, he says he had to go to sleep. I'm like, if I'm on a spaceship, I am not going to sleep, right? I'm thinking for that distance of travel, even though, they could probably just be there in a second anyway, perhaps the sleeping had something to do with time, and then they brought him back at the time that they took him later, and they just made him think it was 3 days, but who knows? So the message is stop using nuclear weapons. Why? Because not only are we going to destroy ourselves, but we're working on tearing holes in dimensions, and we're affecting their planets and their suns, and it's getting dangerous. And this is a message that a lot of people are getting. Just our governments aren't getting it yet. And then, of course, the giant rock conventions. There's a little long story there, but eventually Adamski got a hold of this, and he was able to have conventions there in order to make money to build his Integratron. And here's a picture. Got George, I'm not Adamski, I meant George Van Tassel. And he is second from the left there in that newspaper clipping. George Van Tassel hosted the Giant Rock Spacecraft Convention annually from 1953 to 1978, which attracted at its peak in 1959 10,000 attendees, and I've heard other reports of 20,000 attendees. Of course, all outside. And then he received instructions from a man from Venus how to build the Integratron, which, among other things, did healing for people if they're inside of it, and also transported them interdimensionally. And people who, this still exists today, it was never fully activated. He mysteriously died 2 weeks before the grand opening and when they were going to turn it on. So somebody didn't want that information out, but it still stands, and people who go there report having healing and feeling a high vibration in there. And I I'm going to get out there this in September. So Howard Menger was another contactee, as I mentioned. He was in contact with an extraterrestrial woman, and they allowed him to take photos of her and the craft. And then later, he married this woman's sister. So his wife was an extraterrestrial. They look human. Here's another contactee. I had done research online for my radio show, and I wanted to interview as many people as I could find. I found Craig Campobasso, and he was a guest on my program in 2012, and we since became good friends. We've had many long conversations about this. He's a casting director, producer, actor, author, and filmmaker, and he made the short film Stranger at the Pentagon, which explains some of Thor's visit to the Pentagon. It's a 20-minute film, and he made it in order to use it to get some of the larger film companies to do a feature length, which still has not happened, but he's raising money trying to get that to happen. Craig was very good friends with Dr. Frank Stranges, who coincidentally only lived a mile away from him. He spent a lot of time with him after seeing Val Thor and Vice Commander Teal sitting on his couch in his living room. He said he'd be going from the kitchen to the bedroom, and here are these transparent beings, man and a woman, just sitting there, just looking at him, walking back and forth. And he's like, okay, this is interesting. But he didn't have direct contact. He didn't speak. Thor spoke through Frank Stranges and told Craig what to do this entire script that he wrote. He would write some, send it to Dr. Frank. Frank would show Thor and get approval for it, or Thor might make some changes. Dr. Frank would speak, just what I said. So after the screenplay was approved by Thor, he began to put the short film together with a very slim budget, and he was able to get all the actors and all of the technicians to do this for free to get the word out. They were all behind him 100%. Craig is very well known in Hollywood. He's done a lot of movies. He did the movie, he does casting for, he did like Dune and things like that. So I had him come to Kansas City in 2013 and spoke at Unity Temple. During that talk, many people saw orbs, and I saw orbs too, all around the stage, all around Craig, going up from the balcony, coming down, shooting up through the ceiling, and we're all looking around. We're seeing it with the naked eye. And then some people got them on camera. We told them, you can see some people there have their cell phone. We told them, feel free to go ahead and take pictures because we know he's probably going to show up. And Craig said that he's been known to just appear in a chair and then watch what's going on and then disappear. But that didn't happen, but I felt his presence. I know he was there. So Thor is always available if I need him. It has to be something really important, so I don't bother him with minute stuff. When I've been very ill or near death, he appeared as a ball of gold light, and he's also appeared to me in person, but transparent. 2 occasions I had I get allergies every year, and then it turns into strep, and then it turns into bronchitis, and then pneumonia. And I finally learned how to stop that. I finally learned that if I get mad enough, I can order my body to stop producing histamine, and it does. And so I go every year, I have to redo that. I haven't done it yet. I have to get mad enough. So anyway, being mad sometimes is good. But one time I had severe pneumonia. I could not breathe, and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to make it. And I'm sitting in the front room in front of the wood stove, and something told me to stand up and look in the kitchen. So I did, and I had called on Thor to ask for help. Here's this ball of gold light in the kitchen, and it comes forward, goes into my chest. I took a breath, and I was all cured. No more pneumonia. 100% better. He did that twice. Keep going in. So after my initial contact with Thor, I've met many different types of beings. 4-foot-tall grays showed up one night at the foot of my bed. I had been having foot problems. I wasn't able to walk on my feet. They hurt so bad, and the podiatrist could not figure it out. So I'm lying there in bed, and I just did a meditation. Would any benevolent beings who specialize in feet please come work on me tonight while I'm sleeping? Right? You can do that. And so I fell asleep. But then I was awakened by this really sharp pinch in my calf. And it felt like a needle was going down to the bone in my calf. And it woke me up, and I look, and I see an ET. It's a gray ET, 4 foot tall. He has his hands like this in front of my feet. And the other one's standing nearby, and he's got his hands just aiming at me. And what did I do? Screamed. And threw the covers over my head like a little 4-year-old kid. And I thought, why did I do that? I just asked them to come. Why should I have that reaction? So I pulled the covers down. They're gone. Well, not long after that, I had a different issue. Oh, by the way, no more foot pain. Whatever they did fixed it. I had a hernia. So I'm like, I do not want to have to go into the hospital and have surgery. So I did the same meditation, and I fell asleep. My husband had been downstairs, and he came up the steps, and he made a noise, which woke me up. I open my eyes, and I see this being standing, and it was radiating gold light. And he's standing over me, he has his hands over me, over my stomach, like that. And he was working on healing me. He had a really large, I'd never seen a picture of this. He was maybe 4 feet tall, but I couldn't tell for sure because he was leaning over. A really large head that came out to the back, way out in the back. He was glowing gold, and of course, I screamed, scared my husband to death. He falls back into the door and says, "What? What?" He thought I was dying or something. I said, "Tell me you saw that." And he said, "Saw what?" He didn't see it because he wasn't in the right level of consciousness, right? He wasn't in a sleep state or a halfway sleep state or a meditative state. So he couldn't have seen that. So anyway, after that, I quit screaming when I saw them. I've seen tall, light tan ones. I've seen Nordics. I've been taken on a craft with Nordics. I've seen the short Paul. I call him Paul. Did you guys see the movie Paul? Okay. This guy has the same attitude. I was on an investigation in Kansas City at this site where there have been multiple encounters of ETs and Sasquatch and everything and military. And we're watching this light in the sky, and it was towards the end of the evening. I was sitting in a chair, and another investigator was sitting here, another investigator was standing back here, and so there were like 5 of us there. We're all watching this light move back and forth, like, what the heck is going on with that? And all of a sudden I see this, so I'm tired, right? I see what I thought was the investigator standing beside me bend over with his bald head and pick something up. I thought he was picking something up. So I look. Oh, no, it's not him. It's this little guy about this tall, and he's looking at the same thing we are. Like, he's like, what the heck is that? And I jumped up out of the chair. I'm like, whoa, did you guys see that? No, nobody saw it. So I sit back down. Same thing happens again, exactly the same way. And then the third time, I stay sitting that time, okay, because I know he's there. And I turn, and he just looks at me, and he gives me this little smirk, like, yeah, I'm here. And so I said, I told the witness, and she goes, oh, did he look like this? And she pulls her camera up, and she scrolls through, and she finds a picture of an ET standing next to a tree in her yard, and it's him. It's exactly the same. And then she pulls another picture up of him looking out the window of her house down at her out when she's outside from her bedroom. I'm like, this guy's here all the time, isn't he? He's here all the time. He's keeping an eye on her. It was hilarious. So I've also seen, I was in a meditation one time in my house in the front room, and had my eyes closed. I was working on a case. And all of a sudden something says, open your eyes, and when it does, I do that. And here are these 7 beams of light that come into my living room, and standing there then appear, it's just like, Star Trek, beam me up. They were beamed down. Each one was a different color. They were 7 women, and they were all wearing a different colored dress that looked like Celtic kind of. And they each had a crown, a Celtic type crown on their head. And the oldest was here, the second to the oldest spoke to me. And she said, we are the 7 sisters, and you can contact us from now on by using telepathy because it's instantaneous. And I said, are you the 7 sisters? They said, yes, and we have appeared to the Native American people many times. And I'm thinking Close Encounters, Devil's Tower, and they said, yes, they were there. They were there multiple times talking to the people, and they would teach. And it's all about consciousness and awareness. And then they were gone. I called my daughter on the phone. I said, you're not going to believe this one. And I told her, I'm talking to her for a little bit, and something said, open your front door. So I opened the front door, and I went out on the porch, and I'm just talking to my daughter on the phone, and across the street, there's the telephone pole. There's an ET looking out the side of the pole, going back. And he has his hand stuck there. It stays there, looking at the side of the pole, going back. I said, Maria, you're not going to believe this either, because there's another one right there. But anyway, they just kind of, they hang around. I've got, I think it's because of the portal. They can come in and out very easily. 7 sisters I wasn't expecting. I've also seen and dealt with reptilians. I do not like them, and I do not like to try to get rid of them because they're very difficult. Okay. I'm also in contact with a Sasquatch clan in West Missouri. Now, I would not be able to do this if Thor had not given me the ability to do it, or the confidence. I was working on an investigation for a paranormal group who had, their son had run into a Sasquatch in Rich Hill, Missouri in the conservation area. And they were a paranormal group, 2 police officers and their wives, and they did investigations. So they said, okay, we're going to have him show us where this was. So they went before dark. They showed him where the Sasquatch was, and they measured the height. He took a look at some landmark. It was 8 feet tall. And so they said, well, they set up shop. They had all the right equipment, right? They've got all the night vision and everything, set up their cameras and stuff. And the reason they called us is because it became a UFO event, right? So you see in the cameras, these balls of light start coming in from the trees. And then there's dozens of them. And there's some come up to the camera and look around like they're checking it out, and then they go off. And then you see the cameras start to go up and start to go down. Now they're going up looking at the sky. And I hear them talking. And they're saying, well, this big light comes in. They say, oh, what do you think that is? I think that's a plane. No, that's got to be a helicopter. The light's too bright. Then it stopped. And they're like, I wonder what that is. And then these other lights appear. Lots and lots and lots of other lights appear. And they're saying to me, we're watching this on the video, 45 minutes of video. You never get that in this, in investigating. 45 minutes of this. And you see these lights, and they would say, see, this one is moving over here so fast because it comes on and then it's on over here. But I didn't see that. I kind of turned on my spidey sense, and I saw a gigantic mothership with just blinking lights at different places, and they were in a pattern. They were in a triangular pattern, a bunch of them that made this monster craft there. So I got to thinking about this a few months later, and I thought, I wonder if that Bigfoot was real. I wonder if it had a relationship to that craft that was there, 1 or 2 nights later. I wonder if the orbs are related to the Bigfoot, And so my mind starts going crazy, and I thought, well, let me just remote view this. I hadn't thought of that. So I remote viewed it, and I saw a male Sasquatch, all black hair, walk up to a big tree, pull some brush away, and inside had been dug out, and a female Sasquatch was in labor. He was bringing her a leaf with water in it and gave her the water, and there was a juvenile standing next to her at her feet. I said, okay, I've seen enough. I know this is real. Well, then a few months after that, Kiwani spoke for St. Louis MUFON by Zoom. And something told me when I saw that, I have to go. I didn't know anything about Kiwani. I had to go. Listened to him, got his book, The Psychic Sasquatch, and in it, it says they're telepathic and you can have telepathic communication. I'm like, oh, that's right up my alley. Let me try that out. So I did. He's right there in front of me. Immediately. I said, what's your name? He says, Dave. I'm like, now it reminded me of Cheech and Chong, I said, no, it's not Dave. He says, just call me Dave. I said, okay. So I asked him a bunch of questions. He was very forthcoming. And I said, why are you talking to me? He says, because your energy's good. I said, okay. And he told me all kinds of stuff. And then the next thing I know, not a week later, he comes to me, contacts me, says, I want you to meet the elder. I brought the elder to meet you. I told him about you. And so it was an older Sasquatch, had gray and black hair, and you could tell he was very old. And he had to check me out, apparently, before I could meet the rest of the clan. And he says, okay, we're good. We're going to be in contact with you. They picked certain people here and there. And so he left. A few nights later, I'm on my back deck at night, and all of a sudden this collage of faces of Sasquatches appears on the wall of my deck. And they were in a circle. There were 7 of them. And the bottom face would be a full face, and then it would move out of the way, and the next one would come in. It was like I was meeting each one of their adults in the clan. It was so cool. And I thought that was the end of it, but it wasn't. A few nights later, I'm sitting on my deck again. I like to sit there to meditate. I see this shape forming right beyond the lattice work of my deck. And the deck is 3 feet off the ground. So whatever was standing there was 3 feet, and then it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. 10 to 12 feet tall. This shadow fully forms, goes from 5th dimension into 3rd dimension. And I said, what? Oh, who is that? And the voice came in from the elder, and he said, that is Bear, and he's been assigned to be your protector. He said, nothing psychically is going to be able to get to you anymore. That's over. I'm like, wow, okay, but just stay back there, okay? Because he was big. Next thing that happens is I'm lying in bed one time. I have some health issue, and I had read in Kiwani's book that they have shaman. I said to Dave, could you please send your shaman if they're available? And what I was not expecting was a female Sasquatch and her 2 children that she was training. She is the clan shaman and the clan chief. And she had feathers in her, wrapped around, sticking up off of her head. And I'm thinking, I wonder what those feathers are about. She says, don't think about that, just go to sleep. Okay? So I went to sleep, closed my eyes, quit thinking about the feathers. In the morning, I'm better. I'm completely healed from whatever it was. I don't remember. But the next time I met with her, she told me her name, Akamuwato. And I thought to myself, that sounds Sumerian to me. Oh, so there's a link. Sasquatch, ETs, Sumeria. Anyway, she told me that the feathers, finally she let me ask the question about the feathers, the headdress. I said, did Native Americans copy that off of you? And she says, no, it was the other way around. They copied it off of us. The clan chief has the feathers. Interesting stuff. And also, the signs that they leave in the forest, the bent trees, things like that, the Native Americans learned from the Sasquatch people. So then we come now to the clan that's here, and that I had never known about. I mean, I knew you had some in the area. I didn't know this clan. I haven't met another clan until 2 nights ago. At 4:30 in the morning, I hear whoop, whoop, whoop. And it woke me up, and it was loud, and it was like a male, sound. I knew something was up, and I sat up, and then I hear crack. A big log has been hit against a tree, and it echoed. Did anybody else hear that? Did you hear it? 4:30. Yes. Did you hear the whoops too? Oh, you didn't hear the crack. That crack was so loud I couldn't believe it didn't wake everyone up. I said, oh, yeah, we got a clan here. Okay, so something told me to look out the back window of the cabin, but it was dark back there, and there's no lights. I thought, well, I'm not going to be able to see anything, but I just felt like there was a presence there. So I lie back down, and I'm lying there a couple minutes, and then I hear bang, bang, bang right behind my head. They were there for me. They were letting me know that they were there, and they said Dave had told them I was coming. So I said, what's your name? And I saw him because I remote viewed, and I could see him, and it was a blondie, orangey color, and he's big, very big, and his name is Okondo. And then I saw many standing around. And I said, how many are in your clan? He says, 25, and we have 2 visitors. I said, visitors? He goes, yeah, they're young males, and they're looking for wives. Wasn't not expecting that either. But you guys have got a lot going on here. And this is going in the book, okay? So, continuing. My abilities have increased every year, so I see more energy fields. I see chakras in great detail, organs in the body. I can speak to organs and get messages from them. I see the skeletal structure. I see illnesses, see what people should consume. I'll see now what I'm getting is a conveyor belt of food going by in front of the person I'm reading. And it tells me what they should have, and if it's not on there, you shouldn't be having it. And I also see music and hear color. That's called synesthesia. I know what's true and what isn't. So don't try to fool me about something because I'm going to know. Don't try to trick me. I can get rid of negative beings. Now, except the reptilians. I can't deal with those guys. But if there's any kind of a negativity with a person, an attachment, if they're having a poltergeist in their house, anything like that, that thing is gone, and when they see me coming, they're gone, okay? I can repair or destroy electronic devices. As I have found out, I cannot wear a watch. I've also killed a few computers, and I've got backups. I can remote view anywhere at any time. It just takes me 1 second, and I'm looking. I don't have to be in a super deep trance state, although when I do readings, I go into a light trance state. I can find missing persons, solve homicides and theft cases. Worked on over 66 so far. I've only had 3 cases that were not solved. That's outside of this number, and that was for very strange circumstances. I can also find out that I can bilocate and be in 2 places at once without knowing it, because people who know me have seen me there doing things. So I don't have 100% control over that yet, although I can send my consciousness somewhere and just see everything. Also a medium, and I didn't believe in channeling before that happened, but this ancient Native American can come into me and I'll channel him. Also, Thor will do it sometimes too. And when I've needed protection, I've been able to call on Thor as well. And this was before I met Bear. I'd probably call him now. I was doing a conference in Boonville, Missouri, and I was in one of the hotels there. We'll go up to the third floor, and all of a sudden the energy changed. And I said to my sister, who came to help me, I think this place is haunted. There's something going on. There's a presence. She goes, yeah, I kind of feel it too. So we just ignored that, got in bed, and this dog man comes through the window. Oh, I didn't even believe in this stuff before this. Comes through the door, walks through the door. He's transparent, but he's blue-white, very clearly seen, jumps on the bed and gets right in my face and growls. I jumped out of the bed, and I went back to the corner, away from the bed, and my sister says, what's going on? I said, well, you're not going to believe this one. There is a dog man, and it's trying to attack me. And she goes, well, where is it? I said, oh, I don't know. And I looked down, and underneath my bed, which I don't know how he fit there, but if he's fifth dimensional, it doesn't matter. Here come these long claws and hands right at my ankles. I'm like, oh no, I'm calling Thor. So I called Thor. He's there in an instant. His craft is there in an instant. He sent a beam of light down through the room, pushed this white beam of light out, got rid of the dog man, and he cleared out the entire hotel. So anything negative in there was gone. So yeah, he does that too. The ship. He's taken me on Victor 1 and showed me the craft. I go in my astral body or remote view. I've done that several times. When I usually remote view because it's easier. I kind of quit doing astral travel a long time ago, but once I didn't know I was astral traveling because I was asleep, and all of a sudden my feet are going down into the ground underneath the grass, and he and Teal came out and they each took one of my elbows and they're laughing at me, like, you got to relearn how to use your astral body. I said, okay, and then I try to walk on the grass and it would fall in. Anyway, I finally got a hold of it. So I was able to see inside the craft, and it looks kind of like that. And there is this shield over it that's a shimmery blue shield, but you can't see that part until you're right on it. So, about 3 feet away, you can see this shimmer, but it's cloaking the craft. And then you just walk through that, and there you are. Boom, there it is. And don't ask me exactly where it is, because all I know is to get there, to get to that location. So I was shown these 3 levels. The main level, there was a large lounge area for everybody, and then the private rooms for people. And there was like this foyer going in. On the very top level is a huge greenhouse and a kitchen, and that's where they grow their food and prepare it. In the center area there's a railing around it and a walking area around. So the very, very center of the ship, the propulsion system is in that area just below it. So the top of the craft was open to the air, and the bottom can be open or closed. It was explained to me that that's their propulsion system. It uses anti-gravity ion energy. I don't know what that is, but that's what they told me. And they also said that a byproduct of that is light photons. So that's why when you see a craft moving around and you wonder, why are they have their lights on? Why are they lit up for us to see them? Why aren't they all black? Well, it's because this field of energy goes all the way around the craft and covers it in light. So that's what we're seeing. There's a craft in behind the lights. We're looking at them. And there's 2 different types of propulsion system. They use one when they're in space, and they use another one when they're near a planet. So my assignment, Thor says very clearly, help raise consciousness of the planet. Okay? So that's why I do what I do, and got more coming. I asked him, why me? He said, because you've developed an adequate level of consciousness and vibration. There are others like you that we seek out as well. And I asked how many, and he said about 1 in 100,000. I said, how do I do this? Because I don't know how to do this. He said, well, you need to teach classes to help other people access their Psych Center, write articles about it, create a magazine, do lectures, start a radio podcast network in order to reach more people with messages that will help their spiritual development. So that's what I did with the UNX network. And our podcasts are paranormal, UFOs, conspiracies, ancient mysteries, things like that. But what has happened is the right people were attracted to do this because of the energy, and where their podcasts have gone to is consciousness. And that's exactly what Thor wanted. That's what the plan was altogether. I didn't have to tell them that. That's what they ended up doing. And so it's always in there. And Ray Hernandez had a show with us for a while, and he's off now, but he's probably going to come back. It's called Consciousness and Contact. And that's what it's all about. And all of this stuff is mixed in together. The Sasquatch, the orbs, paranormal, ghosts, ETs, it's interdimensional. All of that is interdimensional. You can't separate it. So I've done 15 conferences so far under his direction, and XCon last year, and this year is in Kansas City in October. Somebody doesn't like what I do. So I was poisoned at one conference, and I was delirious, didn't know where I was. I had to be taken to the hospital. So I have no idea how that happened. Had to be in the water because I didn't even eat anything. And then while I was presenting at another conference, a woman I know who had been banned from going to the conferences was there anyway. She had, and I had learned this from Patty Greer, she had an object that was the size of a cell phone but a little thicker. She leans under the table and with both hands and aims it right at me. And that gave me about a half a second to think about what was going to happen. And I felt the energy from way out. Remember, I felt that ball before it hit me, went through my base when I was 17? Here is this ball of energy coming at me, but I could feel it out there. And so it hit me, but I had instantly bounced that energy back at her, okay? She had no clue I could do that. And she was knocked back in her chair. She grabbed her stuff and her sister and ran out of that room, and I have not seen her again. So now, whoever she works for knows that that weapon's not going to work on me. But they'll probably think of something else. Been followed by government vehicles constantly, especially while I'm on a case. All of my lines are tapped, my cell phones, my business lines, our internet, everything. And sometimes they are so dumb. They will be sitting outside my house, and it has in tiny 1-inch letters on the side of the car, government vehicle. Okay, how obvious can you be? They're always white or black cars, newer model, 4-door SUVs, okay? And then one of them one time was coming towards the house. He makes a turn right in front of me. I guess he wasn't expecting me to come out of the house that early because I'm not a morning person, right? So I'm coming out like 8 o'clock. And he comes around the corner. Well, he turns his head completely sideways, so I'm only seeing the back of his head. I can't see his face. How obvious can you be? Really, if you want to know something, just ask me. I'll tell you. They know more than I do. Anyway, so this is a little timeline about Val Thor. So maybe in the 1940s, somebody else had been contacted by Thor. I have to look this up. But Daniel Fry in the 1950s. And then he visits the Pentagon. He visits Howard Menger. 1957, Dr. Frank Stranges meets him. 1985, Thor introduces himself to me, but only uses the name Thor. And then he also appeared to Craig Campobasso in the 80s. My friend finds out who he is in 2012, or helps me. And then, I'm doing all this stuff because of him. And the funny thing is, he never gives me the money to do this stuff. I have to do it myself and dig it up. So somehow I managed to do it. The messages for mankind are, quit using nuclear weapons. We will not allow further use and will shut them down because they affect multiple dimensions. They also can cause tears between dimensions, and this is a major problem. This could be one explanation for the increase in paranormal activity around the world. And they say, we will make ourselves known to everyone soon, despite your government's unwillingness to disclose our presence. And yes, I have. Yeah. Yeah. You guys know it. You know, you can feel it, right? You're probably getting the same messages. And I have remote viewed meetings at the UN, and they're talking about it. They've been arguing about it for a long time. Probably shouldn't have told you that. Okay. In order to fully understand us and others like us, mankind must raise their level of consciousness. Nuts and bolts, left brain scientists will never experience us. They cannot get it, can they? They can't. You have to give them little nudges here and there to cross over, and there are some physicists who do, but for the most part, no. So how can others experience Thor or those like him? You got to have an open mind. You got to learn to meditate. That's the whole key right there. You must learn and practice meditation. You've also got to be ready for anything and not freak out when one of them shows up in front of you because you asked for it. Send a telepathic message that you would like to have contact. And then be patient, because it doesn't always happen on our timeline. We all want to know everything about the universe right now, but we can't handle it. So it's fed to us in bits and pieces. And yeah, I'm 66, and I don't know how much longer I have on this planet, and I would like to know more. So XCon in 2023 is going to be in Kansas City. We've got a lot of good speakers coming, talking about Mothman, hauntings, UFOs, hidden secrets, things like that. Fun stuff. But I also have another conference that's going to be planned, and that's on consciousness. And thank you for this section. I do personal readings on Zoom. If you're interested, I can't do any more here while I'm here now. I've done a few. Always do it on Zoom. It works just fine. I train remote viewers, do dowsing workshops, chakra balancing workshops. I do chakra workshops just for musicians so they can understand what is really going on. ET communications, paranormal investigator training and certifications. I'm starting a new organization to train people and certify them so that the people out there can say, you know, that they get the right education for doing this work, because there are a lot of investigators out there who don't have the training, and they're just thrown willing, especially the paranormal field, the ghost hunters, okay? I'm just being told that I need to do that, and that is also going to help them raise their consciousness. And then there's a mystery school planned. So now what we're going to do, you guys ready to see some proof? Okay. Let me get my other. So, where's our mic for questions?
It's up there.
Is this? Okay, this is mine. Okay, now I have to. Testing.
It's on.
Check. Got it. Okay. So what we're going to do now, we're going to have some volunteers from the audience, but wait, don't run up yet, because you have to be willing to let other people hear about what's going on in your body or in your life, okay? So if you don't care about that, what I'm going to have you do is come up, just tell me your name, because I tune into the vibration of the person's name, okay? And then I will do a scan. Oh, okay. Okay, that's good.
That's enough.
That's good. Okay. Now, this is going to be a very quick reading. It is not a normal 30-minute session. It's going to be a 2-minute session, okay? And I'm going to do the things that stand out. So if I don't get 10 things wrong with you, do not be upset, all right? The main things that point out are going to come up. So I'm going to hear your name, read you, and then you're going to tell if that is correct or not. Okay, so what is your full name?
Hello, my name is James Rink,
Where are you from?
Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay, let me take a look. You're looking at the energy field. The energy field really close to your body is very, very active, and it is a gold color. And it's thin. It's very thin, but it's very active. So that means you've been doing some spiritual work. Okay, being drawn to look at the esophagus. There's a line right here, so I think that's a little irritated. I'm feeling some muscle strain, but it's not bad. I think this is from lifting heavy things.
Or breakdancing.
Okay. Don't talk. Just wait, talk to it.
Sorry.
Okay. I'm in a trance up here, Stick. I don't want to fall off. All right. Okay, your gut looks really good. And now I'm going to look at the skeletal structure real quick. Okay, feet. Feet need attention. The bones do not like something you're doing, and there's a strain there. Okay, and also I'm seeing a red ball right here. What is that? Pay attention. Pay attention to what you're doing. Okay, there's a scenario coming up where you could have an accident if you're not paying attention. So that I think that's a future thing, but it's also something you do all the time. So, yeah, okay, does any of that make sense?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. I've got some issues with my digestion problems, yeah.
Okay, so let me just take a look here. Your gallbladder's got some stones in it. You need to do a cleanse of that. And also, no spicy foods. And you need to be drinking a lot of water, and I'm hearing raw milk.
Okay.
Raw milk.
Yeah,
I hear that a lot for people.
It's illegal in North Carolina to get raw milk.
Illegal?
Yes.
Well, go out of the state.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's what I'm hearing would really help.
Okay.
Or
Thank
get
you.
yourself a lot of calcium.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next.
There you go.
Full name?
Stephanie Farlow,
Where are you from?
Philadelphia, PA.
Okay. Super bright blue aura. You've been working on psychic work. Your third eye is super open and active in the front and the back. You've got a thyroid issue. I would get that checked out. You need to be drinking water with lemon squeezed in it. Your back has got some problems. It's muscular. I would get massage and deep tissue massage with that, but I'm seeing a low back injury. Okay, and so you've got a little bit of a bulge disc there at C5. No, L5, other way. Okay, also seeing something with your wrists. You're doing too much of something, and the wrists are fighting back. And I'm hearing progesterone cream on the wrists. Okay, does any of that make sense?
Yes, I have a cleaning business, so I use my wrist a lot. My back, yeah, especially on this side, for sure. Blue is literally like my color, and I'm a Blu-ray, so that makes perfect sense. And yeah, I've been doing a lot of work, so yeah, all of it makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Full name?
Marjorie Catherine Mallory, St. Louis.
Yeah, okay. Boy, do you have some really active energy around you. You've been doing tons of energy work for a long time. I see just spikes going out everywhere, out to here. Super, super active crown chakra. You're getting a lot of information coming in, and your guides are telling me you need to share that information more and teach people, okay? Now, let me look physically to see if I see anything. There is something with the here, and that might be like allergies or something in that area. You've got some energy leaks in your ears, probably from infections in the ears, and I'm feeling that being an ongoing thing that's happening. Okay. And there is something right around the navel that is irritated and red. Okay, we're going to stop there. What do you think?
I don't know what information I'm getting to share. I don't know what information I'm getting. I mean, I know I'm getting it, but I'm not conscious of it.
Okay. Meditate.
And I set up a reading with you.
Oh, you did? Okay.
The energy thing. Everybody tells me that they can see all this stuff around me.
Yeah,
So that
super active energy
that totally
field.
makes sense.
They say that? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm right. I'm always right. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's not me, it's Thor. Okay,
Yeah,
next.
you see me with
Oh.
Jan Wallach from St. Louis,
Okay.
Missouri.
Got the energy leaks in the ears. Something here with the throat. Thyroid too. Got a digestion issue with the stomach. Stomach doesn't like certain things. Doesn't like heavy meats. Doesn't like a lot of fruit. Doesn't like a lot of fruit either. I would go with mild vegetables that are cooked. Okay, and I'm seeing some energy leaks at the elbows. So you've done something with, even if it's just in the past, with straining your elbows. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm feeling a lot of stuff in my heart, so I'm wondering what that is. Like a pounding and out of breath. I don't know what.
Yeah. That's from the thyroid.
So what should I do?
Yeah.
with that?
You need to see a naturopathic doctor about that.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Next up, it's all women. Okay.
Laura Lee Kays, Hartsburg, Missouri.
Okay. Seeing red on this side of the body. So that either means you have had an accident to that side of the body, or, yeah, I think that's it. Okay. So the energy of that is still there. I would meditate on dissipating that energy if I were you. Let me look inside, see if there's anything that pops out. This side of the body, pancreas. It does not like something. It's vibrating at the wrong rate. It definitely does not like sugar. You've got to change to raw sugar and honey. That's okay. That'll work. And then also I'm hearing celery juice, that you need to be drinking celery juice, and put a little bit of turmeric in it. This is another thing I keep seeing over and over again, but you need to do that. And also apples, that will help. Now, I'm not seeing anything major with the skeletal system, but there is some residual energy. Did you have an accident on the right side of your body?
No, but I have been out of alignment my whole life.
You're out of alignment. Okay, well that would cause it too. That would cause it. Okay, I'm hearing massage therapy and deep tissue massage, no chiropractor.
Oh,
Yeah, try that. Okay?
all right. Thank you.
Okay.
Hello,
Okay, hi.
Michelle, I'm from England. Coates, sorry, Michelle Coates.
Okay. You've got a real active aura. It's white, the one closest to your body. You've been doing some astral travel? Uh-huh, I can see it. Okay. Your astral body is very active.
Outed.
And it's like, I can't wait to get out. Okay. There is an issue with some energy flow in the lower part of the body going down the legs.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're telling me standing and doing dancing will help, and doing leg stretches, things like that. But you've got to address the low back because that's out. Low back and the hips are not in the right position. So massage therapy, yeah, and deep tissue in the back. I would also put hot packs on the back. So does any of that make sense?
Okay, so I've never had back pain in my life, but I get restless leg syndrome in both my legs. So
Okay.
maybe that's where it's stemming from.
And you're doing the astral travel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm busy at night, and that night I break dance. Well, I didn't break dance with James. Was the first night I didn't get restless legs.
Oh, okay.
So.
All right.
Can I ask a quick? I didn't know you were doing this. I only came to ask a question. 2 nights ago, we did a meditation to welcome the Sasquatch, a group of us, and I thought I saw an adolescent. Not saw, but in my mind saw an adolescent Sasquatch who was very brown, light brown colored. I wondered if they were the same clan or if they heard us or...
Yes, it was the same clan. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because we thought we saw them, but we weren't sure. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Confirmation the Sasquatch are here. All right.
Right on.
Next.
Ronald Dale, Manteca, California.
Okay. Boy, I can see a lot of left brain activity going on there. And you're trying to get the right brain going. Yeah, okay. Okay, what's, something's on the shoulders, heavy on the shoulders. Let's see. I'm feeling like there's I think it's a bladder infection. You might want to get that checked. The legs are overworked. They want less work. Okay? All right. What do you think?
You are absolutely right. I walked here yesterday, and my legs and my butt, they're like, ah.
Okay, yeah, they're screaming at me.
Yeah, they're screaming at
And
me
you.
too. Yeah.
Okay.
And what was the left brain right thing?
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
your right brain is very active. The left brain is trying to catch up. I mean, other way around. Left brain is active.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, is that true?
And I'm always trying to do this to get that one active.
Oh,
and
yeah,
whatnot,
okay.
Try to activate it and whatnot. Because I have a deviated septum, and one's more active than the other. That's my guess.
Okay, I'll give you another trick.
Okay.
Meditation, listen to meditative music, do adult coloring.
Adult coloring.
Adult coloring will activate the right brain.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next. How much time we have? Okay, it's 4:30. See how long I can last. Okay, go ahead.
Katie Mabry, Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Okay. Your back is yelling at me. Okay, we need to get uncompressed, and I would say inversion table. Just a little bit, not a lot. Do you do that now?
No, I've been thinking about buying one.
Okay, but just, yeah, do it. All right. Very gentle, though. I'm also seeing some strain in the neck and around C5. There's some bulging of the disc. So do neck exercises, back and forth, side to side, roll the shoulders, pull the shoulders back, and massage therapy in that area, and also hot packs. Okay. Now I've seen some chest stuff. The upper chambers of the heart are not fully functioning. The lower chambers are a little inflamed because they're overcompensating. I'm hearing what you might want to try is B2, B6, B12, calcium. See a naturopath,
Awesome.
okay?
Thank you.
Hi, Catherine Gentle.
Okay, where are you from?
Oh, Oregon.
Okay. Okay, you've been doing a lot of chakra work. Your light bodies are all activated, every one of them. You've been doing a lot of work on that. I'm seeing gold and purple a lot. Yeah, your chakras are very open. The emotional chakra is not open in the back. So when you meditate, I would just work on that one. The others look good. Feels like you're grounded most of the time, but not all the time. So black tourmaline, black stones of any type you want to have on your person, and also wear dark pants.
Oh,
And that will help you ground, okay?
dark pants.
Yeah. Does any of that make sense?
It all does. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, next. Now this line's getting longer. You guys are sneaking out back there. Okay. And the guys are coming in. All right. Okay.
Carla Fay, Crestone, Colorado.
Okay. Let's see if I see anything new. Well, you've got a Sasquatch juvenile right here that you picked up here, and he wants to go home with you. And you're going to have to tell him that he has to stay with the clan, but he can visit. And I think he's going to be visiting you from now on. You know, they can go anywhere they want at any time. They can go any distance. So, yeah. Let me see if I get a name. He says you can call him Troy.
Troy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's just for our benefit. That's not the real name. All right. Yeah. He's funny. He's very, very light consciousness. There is something happening with your stomach. Yeah, it's not like it's something that you're eating here. Telling me to have you stay away from pasta and wheat gluten. At least for a while. Clean things out. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, next.
I'm Kira Sands from Colorado.
Okay. I'm hearing a conflict about a decision, something to do, and I'm seeing water around it. And this blue is very prominent in your energy field. And it has to do with the blue water. So what is that? It's a decision that you have coming up. Okay, your guides are telling me go for it. Whatever this thing is that you want to do, that would be very good. And I think it's a different location, and it has something to do with learning something, okay? And then the water is involved there. Okay, you're not from here. You've had several lifetimes here, but you were from a water planet. And so don't be surprised if the rest of your life is going to be about something with water. Does any of that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
what?
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay,
I'm Chrissy, and I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio.
last name?
Pettit.
Okay. There's energy leaks in the back of your shoulder blades. You've been doing something that's irritating that area, and so they're shooting out the back. So you want to either have someone take care of that or you do it while you're meditating. I'm hearing that you need lighter colors. Wearing dark on the bottom is okay. Maybe have a scarf or something, necklace that's a lighter color than what you're used to. You're drawn to it in order to ground with the dark, but you need some more light. Now, the crown chakra is open, the third eye is open. It's a work in progress with the third eye, okay? So don't be discouraged about things taking longer than you think, because it's going to happen. Meditation, listening to meditation music is a way to kind of cheat and get there faster. So I would suggest that, okay? And also get your thyroid checked. There's an issue.
I'm hypothyroid.
Okay.
Thank you.
You know that. All right.
Melody Ash, Odessa, Missouri.
Okay. You got a very, very active energy field, and I hear teaching and learning, and left and right brain are active. And I'm hearing children. I think that if you're not already, that you would be good working with children and helping them, helping the star children, okay, activate themselves and increase, their level of consciousness. That's, high vibration stuff. Now, got a thyroid issue, like everybody.
High or low?
You're low. Oh, yeah. Okay. Water with lemon. Apples. I would go to a naturopath. And no red meat and no pork. Fish and vegetables. Especially red vegetables and orange vegetables. Okay?
Okay. I have no kids, but have a very strong maternal instinct, and I have a hard time that I still have the desire to be a parent, but I'm past the age, so that was profound. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Joshua Somerville, Alice, Alabama.
Okay. See some red inflammation in the muscles in the neck and between the shoulder blades. And yeah, that's you doing it, okay? It's lifting things and pushing things. They're saying ease up a little bit on that, okay? Let those muscles kind of repair a bit. Spine looks pretty good. Right around the lower back area, I'm seeing some strain. I'm seeing there are some discs that are out of place. One is going to the right, one is going to the left. So, and it's compact. I would do inversion table to unpack all of that, and massage therapy. You could probably handle a chiropractor, but I wouldn't do that first. I would do the other first. Your hips are a little bit out. They're tilted forward a bit. And there's a little restriction of energy flow to the legs. And I'm also hearing that you should put your legs up at night, for like 10 minutes a night. Put them up above your head. So I don't see any major issues on the inside of the body. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
It does? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Joseph Joyce from London.
All right. I was thinking about you when I heard that Sasquatch make that crack. I'm like, even that guy couldn't have done that.
It wasn't me.
It would take 2 or 3 of you to do that. Okay. Let me see here. Okay, the top of the bottom of the head, the base of the skull, the top of the vertebrae is out a little bit. I would go see a cranial sacral person. That is out. I feel some blows that push the spine out this way a little bit, and so things, yeah, it's not completely straight. And then just above the tailbone, there's another issue there with a little bulge disc, and I'm being shown. Okay, the hips are tilted forward, so you could use some work there. Now let me look at the organs. Your lower intestine is dropped a bit. What does that mean? Yeah, the lower part is weak, is the only way I can describe it, is somewhat weak. So let me ask what can fix that. It doesn't like something you're eating that's like a nut or a seed that's black.
Oh, chia seeds, by any chance?
Right, chia seeds, it doesn't like it.
Oh, okay. Well,
You eat those all the time?
Let's throw that out, the protein shake ingredients.
Okay, okay, yeah, let's cut that out for a while. Let that calm down, all right?
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I didn't know they did that. Okay. Okay.
Kate, I'm from California.
All right. Well, your spine is way out. I'm going to say scoliosis because it's just too much of a curve. This way. And then the hips are tilted this way. You've got energy blocks going down the legs. The spine has got some issues with the discs being pushed against the nerves, and then that is coming around the front and irritating your organs. So I see irritation with the gallbladder and the liver, the spleen, the pancreas. You're a little wreck.
You're dead on. You are. It's amazing.
Okay, let me ask what you can eat, okay. To help that. Okay, apple, celery juice with turmeric in it. I see that with a lot of people, but also parsley and cilantro. No red meat, no pork.
Okay.
No poultry.
All right.
Just fish, seafood, vegetables. And for you, fruits. Most people I get they shouldn't have a lot. You should have some every day.
Okay.
It doesn't really matter what it is. If it's dark, it's probably good. Okay, like plums, blueberries, blackberries, things like that. And red, and you need to have more red in your life. I would, and some bright multiple colors. Just have them in your house and have them around.
Okay.
That will help.
I actually wear red every day. It's one of my favorite colors. I have a lot of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's there.
Yeah. Thank you.
That is that is that. Do you know about this?
Oh yeah, I have. I've been diagnosed with scoliosis, so.
Okay.
I have. Yeah. I definitely. It's all completely right on there. So thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
And I've been feeling that need to cut meat out quite a bit. So.
yeah, definitely. That will help. That will help.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Massage. Yes.
Hi, Margie.
Hi.
Randy Ubel from New Ulm, Minnesota.
All righty. You got a super active energy field, and I'm hearing mathematics and teaching. Whether you like it or not, it's there. Okay, and then there's a line around that's a block. So you have created this block probably for protection, but I would take it out and I would put up white light with mirrors on it to send negative energy back out and let the other good energy come down through your crown chakra and just activate all of your light bodies instead of putting that line of block, because it's going to block, it's like halfway between all your light bodies, so you can't access the higher ones unless that one is out. Okay? So just dissolve it when you're meditating. I would do that. I'm seeing something with the throat.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, it goes down to thyroid as well. Your muscles are strained. There's a lot of yellow bile coming from the, oh my gosh, the gallbladder. Okay, I'm tired. Yeah, there's too much coming from it.
Okay.
And there's some ducts that are blocked, so you've got some stones in there. You also have some liver stones. There's a thing called stone blocker. You might give that a shot.
Okay.
It's a natural remedy. So does any of that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Chastity Campbell, and I'm from Kansas.
Okay. Kansas is a big state. What city?
Derby,
I have no idea where that is. Okay.
outside of Wichita.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I heard that earlier today. All right. Thyroid, like 99% of the people, does not want to function. And I'm seeing some strain with the muscles. The digestive system is very sluggish, doesn't want to function correctly. There's mucus in there. Okay, I'm hearing no sugar, no carbs, low carbs, just low carbs, no wheat gluten. That's squishing everything together. I'm also hearing you don't get enough olive oil in your diet, that you need more olive oil and butter, regular butter. Vegetables, green vegetables, and all the colors of the vegetables. I've seen this conveyor belt, but no red meat. Your body cannot handle that. And it'll be a lot happier if you do that. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Okay.
I'm Terry Reesing from Meridian, Idaho.
All righty. See here. You've been doing some spiritual work. I can see that. You're cleared out. You're grounded. And we're done. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Look inside. Okay, there's a little issue with your esophagus. It's inflamed a bit. The valve at the top of the duodenum is not functioning 100%.
I have a hiatal hernia.
You have a hiatal hernia. Okay. What can be done? Remember, this is for entertainment purposes only. Okay. You don't have enough blue in your life. And, yeah, blue color. The stomach area is asking for blue, and blue's calming. So why do we need to calm that down? Yeah, it's overactive. It's really overactive. The digestive system is on superconductor. Okay, yeah, and you need darker colors. You need to have, especially on the lower part of the body. And you've got some gallstones.
I had my gallbladder removed.
You had it removed?
20 years ago.
Then they're in the liver.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll be in the top part of the liver then, because that part is like white, and that usually means that. So let me take a look at the kidneys. They're calling at me. The right kidney is, the top part of it doesn't want to function. I don't even know if it's in there, but the left one is on overload. Water with lemon is what I'm hearing.
Okay.
Okay. Do you know about the kidneys?
No, I don't.
Okay, I would get that checked.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Margie.
And,
always impressive. Thank you so much for that. Don't forget, if you want to buy a raffle ticket for an amazing piece of Druzy quartz that my dad mined from Haunted Ridge, Missouri, you can still get tickets at the registration table at dinner. The silent auction closes after dinner as well with the raffle. Our t-shirts are $5 off. After dinner, we're going to have a panel up here of all the speakers that spoke this week, and we're going to be asking them some questions. So if you have any questions, please, I'm going to announce this again. When you're in line, to save time and respect everyone else's time, please be very succinct with your question. Let's refrain from telling long stories. I shouldn't have to say that, but always somebody comes up and tells a story and not even ask a question. So to respect everyone's time, can we please just have a question ready, and we can get through more questions and have a little more fun that way. And I'm going to be giving out some t-shirts and some books and some other things, so we'll see you back here after dinner.